Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swing and a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matt Moreno. Matt, we're talking MLB rule changes, and actually a rule change proposed about rule changes. Typically, as it stands, if Rob Manfred wants to change something about the way the game is played on the field, he would have to let the union know and would have to wait a year then to implement it. During the lockout, Manfred proposed that 1 year period be reduced to 6 months. You're going to be shocked to hear this, Matt. That was not well received by the players. Pretty much anything Rob Manfred says or does, it feels like is not well received. But the idea being, one of the rule change mentioned was something like a pitch clock. So if they want to put on a pitch clock or talk about limiting pickoff attempts, banning the shift, automated strike zones, increased base sizes, these types of rule changes, typically Manfred needs to give everybody a year's heads up and then can do it. He does not need approval to do it. He wants to limit that to 6 months. So we could talk about 6 months versus a year, but I think the bigger question I want to ask you is, do you feel like baseball needs these rule changes? Do you feel like we're in need of an automated strike zone or an pitch clock, those types of things that have been admittedly experimented with at the minor leagues to varying degrees of success?
I think baseball could benefit from rule changes. I'm just not sure which ones make the most sense and would also, make the most impact. Obviously, Manfred and the league's, biggest concern over the past several years has been well documented is growing the game, increasing the number of fans, the popularity of the sport, which obviously this offseason has taught us.
They stopped caring about all of those things, I think, for a few months now.
Yeah. A pitch clock, I think that could work, but my question would be, is it going to be enforced? Because we went through this, I forgot when it started, but within the past, handful of years of, hey, a batter has to keep 1 foot in the batter's box once their at bat starts. And they have the timer in between innings that has gotten players have gotten a little bit better about adhering to it. But when it was first rolled out, it was like, oh, the clock is at 0. Well, the pitcher's not done warming up yet, so we're just going to keep waiting. So I think the enforcement of a rule like a pitch clock would be just as important as actually implementing it. The other stuff, bigger bases, I don't know how much of an impact that really makes. And admittedly, we've discussed this like with the universal DH. I'm not somebody who likes change with the sport, so I'm kind of, hesitant to sign off on any of these. But
I mean, I look at the game and I think I'm not in favor of like changing the heartbeat of what baseball is. But I think even as a baseball fan, a guy who has a show that all we do is talk about baseball and the Dodgers, obviously I love baseball. But I think I look around and I say there's things that need to change. Like if there is a way that we could trim 20 to 30 minutes off of how long it takes to play a 9-inning baseball game, that seems like an absolute no-brainer to me. And I've even heard former players say, like, as a pitcher, like these guys used to just throw a pitch, get right back on the mound and throw the next pitch. As a hitter, you used to just stay in the box. These are very simple things that if we could save 10 to 15 seconds off of every at bat times a minimum of 27 at bats, all of a sudden we're talking about some real change. Increasing the base sizes, limiting pickoff attempts. If I told you that stolen bases and stolen base attempts were going to go up by 25% next year, of course that seems more exciting, right? Now, banning the shift, like I think that gets complicated just because logistically, how do you do that? But again, if I told you there was a way to get more balls put in play, less swings and misses, and none of it would actually compromise the sport of baseball itself, to me, these all seem like no-brainers. I think one of the things that the lockout has made frustrating for me is that players and owners are arguing about things that everybody should be in favor of. Like, if we could make the game a little bit more enjoyable to both diehard fans and to non-diehard fans, this is a no-brainer. Like, who's the person out there that's like, no, I do not want a 3.5-hour baseball game to become a 2-hour and 45-minute baseball game? Like, who, even the most diehard fans, like, is there somebody out there that doesn't like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not. And those are great points. And I mean, honestly, if we even want to back this up a little bit more, like, Major League Baseball could become more transparent about the baseballs in play. Like, we can also start there. That's been a huge issue over the past couple seasons. So let's decide on a baseball. Let's not experiment with it secretly and then have it come out only because an investigative reporter did some digging and studying and realized, well, wait a minute, these balls didn't jump off the bat the same way. So for me, I would probably start with something like that, and then like a pitch clock fine, I could be talked into that, and maybe increasing the base sizes if it this not this necessarily analysis of it in the minor league showed, hey, stolen base attempts and all that did increase. And yeah, because obviously, I do agree with you that the sport does become, more popular, however you want to define that. Or however you want to get there. Like, it is best for kind of everybody
Yeah,
involved.
and I'll use this as an example. I consider myself a very casual NBA fan. Of all of the sports that I follow, I would say basketball, I follow less than baseball, less than football, less than college athletics, etc. I watched the Lakers-Clippers game the other night. I actually tuned in for like the very end of the Lakers.
Well, there was your first mistake.
Yes, no, totally. I tuned in for the very end, and it was an absolute nightmare. There was an 8.5-minute review.
Yeah.
I'm looking and I'm like, this game should be an amazing game. It's a close game. It's a one-possession game for basically the last 4 minutes of game time. And as a casual NBA fan, I was like, what incentive do I have to tune back into this product? So I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody who is like me when it comes to baseball and is more casual when it comes to baseball. They have to be thinking the same things. And again, it doesn't impact the play on the field at all. Like, it's not taking away. It's not like we're saying, hey, we're actually going to put 7 guys in the field instead of 9. And then we're going to, it's like, no, there's still 9 guys. We're just doing things around the edges to tighten this up. I think it's a no-brainer. Again, back to, should Manfred be able to do this in 6 months instead of 12 months? I don't know. Who really cares about this kind of thing? If it's good for the game, we should all be in favor of adhering to it. But the world we live in, that's just not possible. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Rule changes. In favor of, not in favor of. Does baseball, again, not need an overhaul, but does it need some tweaking around the edges to make the game more palatable, both to diehard fans as well as casual ones? That's Matt Moreno. My name's Jeff Spiegel. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com and DodgerBlue1958 on social media. You can follow Matt there on Twitter, me here and Twitter. We appreciate you as always. Subscribe, ring the notification bell below. We'll see you next time.